Shalom, and welcome back to Bnei Noach Academy, Thoughts on the Torah. Please remember to hit the like button, to subscribe, and most importantly, to share this insight and inspiration with friends and family. So as we've said many times, the stories in the Torah are not just stories, not just history. Rather, they are lessons, instructions for life. So when we look in the book of Exodus, chapter 2, verse 11, and it tells us about the life of Moses. Now, of course, it's obvious that it's important for us to know who Moses is, who's Moshe, because this is perhaps the leading figure in the entire history, especially those of us who are concerned with the Torah. All that's in the Torah has been transmitted through him by God's choice. But there's, of course, more to it, because just to have the knowledge of who he is interesting, but that's not the purpose of the Torah. The Torah is teaching us how to live our lives. So it's obvious when the Torah tells us about his life, that's in order for us to incorporate it into our lives. So what does the Torah tell us? That for so many years, he spent his life in the home, rather the palace of Pharaoh. Remember, it's Pharaoh's daughter who saved his life, and she took him in after he was weaned off his mom, his own mom who nursed him, and now he spent so many years, his formative years, in the palace of Pharaoh. I think it doesn't take much imagination to figure that he was privy to and had access to the greatest luxuries and the greatest comforts that one can possibly have at that time of history. Yet, what happens? As soon as he gets old enough, as soon as he's grown up, and he's able to wander out alone, young teenage years, what happens? He goes out to see the plight of his brethren. And when he encounters an Egyptian officer mercilessly and indiscriminately beating a Jewish man, he stands up for the man. He intervenes. In fact, he puts to rest, let's just say, he puts to sleep forever this perpetrator, this merciless abuser of the Jew. Later, he pays a hefty price for it, because the next day, they snitch on him. Sadly, it was from his own people that snitched on him. And for that, he had to run away. The next time, he had to escape to save his life. The next time we hear from him, the next time he's able to return to Egypt and to try to lead his brethren out of Egypt, to continue doing what he started back then, that is to look out for the plight of his brethren, the Torah tells us he is 80 years old. So he lost over 60 years of his life. What does this tell us? This tells us that when we are out there in the world, no, we shouldn't just mind our own business. Of course, we shouldn't voluntarily and indiscriminately mix into other people's business. That is not a virtue. That is wrong. But when you encounter something that's being perpetrated that's wrong, something that is outright just wrong, evil, or not in place, don't just walk by and make believe you didn't see it. Don't just think about, your own personal security and welfare, but rather you need to step in. You need to do something. You need to try your very best to intervene, to help rescue the unfortunate, to help save the situation. And that is a way of the Torah. That is what Moses is telling us. Many years later, Moses delivered this ideal actually as one of the commandments in the Torah, one of the 613 commandments, and that is Lo ta'amod al dam re'echa. You literally translated, you shouldn't stand on your brother's blood, your friend's blood, that is. Meaning you can't stand by idly and watch someone else's blood being spilled, whether physically, emotionally, psychologically, someone's being bullied, whatever it is. You can't just stand by and ignore it. You need to do something. And this we learn from the ultimate leader, Moses himself.